Attention everybody, the views expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and supported ministries and or nonprofits. Coughed into my elbow.
Nice, well done.
Which is hard to do. Cough from the outside of your elbow, that's difficult.
It is.
Good morning! Coming in live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts. Matt and Jay! And the valley is too wide. We are finding our videos right now and sharing them as we speak. I thought this is how it would always be. 2, 3, but that's all changed. That's all changed. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. And you set this captive free. Oh man, I forgot to set out the pork. Oh, Matthew. That's all right. Well, you work. You're off Saturday, right?
Yes.
I want to worship you. Morning, Steve Schultz. Old People Rule is the title of the show today. I know if you are with me. That was because Jay came up with it. What do you think I was talking about, Jay? I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Thou art with me.
Amen, brother. Amen.
When troubled times they come my way, I throw my hands down and say, 1, 2, 3, you got this, Lord. You know, I think we should just listen to this whole song every day. They might get tired of it, but
no, I'm not.
It's more fun to play and sing.
It's an amazing experience to be there live.
A lot of our songs that we've written.
Now, how did you get this recording?
One more time. This recording?
Yeah. Was this the one we did at my house?
Yeah. I'm playing it on YouTube.
That was good, man.
Yeah.
You guys rocked it. How many times did we do it in a row?
37. What's really cool is you have things like a little goofing around. I'm going to let you guys hear this. Now, this reminds me of the time that...
called That's All Changed.
This reminds me of the first time I sang on the air with Steve there, Steve Schultz.
Yeah, when he was on the radio show at the very beginning.
Yeah, and the look of confusion on his face, but he still smiled. He was like, "Okay."
He was wanting to.
Right.
He was wanting to be He was wanting to be kind.
And it's funny because once I started doing this, Barney and Blake both started doing this.
Yeah, they did.
So, little goofing around. I think you posted this on here.
I hear the train a coming. Oh, wait,
whoa!
wrong one.
Sorry about that. I don't want to get kicked off of Facebook for 24 hours. It's beautiful.
It was so fun. It was so much fun. I miss it. I really do.
The camaraderie.
My apartment's big enough to do it again.
Morning, Steve Schultz says, that's right. Don't talk back to us old people. Don't see anything. Larry Mount said, don't see anything. Well, I mean, I can see just fine. Sometimes the
I think he means he's not seeing the video.
Oh, no, we're not playing the video. Playing it.
Played the audio of it. Yeah. You should have been there, man. Oh man, it was so much fun. It was a lot. It was a lot of real work too.
Johnny Rooster says cock-a-doodle-doo. Good morning, John Kretzman.
Morning, John.
He says, I'm not ever coming in to see you guys. April Fools.
Still sounds good.
Well, whenever I was stretching the strings out.
Yeah, because remember, Steve, you did that on the show when we started singing, and I was
singing like very off key,
and we were acting so serious.
On the kind of me.
And Steve starts trying to join in.
Yeah, and he's
singing too.
His eyes shift back from me to you. And it was like,
Do you guys not?
Okay, and he
that?
starts singing. He's like, "Oh well, I guess we'll do this."
He's like, "Do you guys not hear that something's wrong here?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Matt, that's beautiful. It's so."
And
beautiful.
I'm like, "Yeah, voice of an angel, I know."
but
But the seriousness on our faces, yeah, that we couldn't hardly keep from laughing that day.
Steve was a champ. I miss him.
Yeah, we miss
Right.
you up here, Steve Schultz.
Mr. Schultz.
Steve Mickey Mac is not with us again today, due to we talked to him yesterday. Keep praying that he can get those tires fixed.
So I another rent due on my storage today, which is paid already. And so if I get my stuff out of storage by the end of the month, I'll get a refund.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need to get that stuff out.
Yeah. We'll manage to get it done while I'm on vacation this week.
Yeah.
You need to give me a few days.
And if we have to, we can put the big box downstairs so I can take it apart and move it upstairs piece by piece. See what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
Because it's heavy.
Yeah, it's like 400 pounds.
I've never weighed it, but it's very heavy. Very heavy. Well built, though. Built to last.
If you don't say so yourself.
Well, I mean, I built it with the intention, you know?
Yeah. And
It's got steel corners all over it. And
because you know that, sorry, I'm getting ready to
the
post.
doors come off and make tables.
Yes. That's really cool. The doors come off and make a table.
One
off
makes
this-
a table and one makes a sign.
Yeah. Which is cool. I remember you designing it. Like,
Yeah, it was fun to do. It was nice to be able to plan something and do it
Johnny Rooster says
well
he
with
is
purpose.
he is out of Facebook jail.
You are.
One of the community standards is you can't play copywritten music without the express written permission of that.
Right.
And even then, I'm not sure. I think you have to register that permission with FB
Probably.
because their algorithm. You remember whenever we first started doing this, we'd stop in the middle and play a couple of songs that weren't ours.
Right.
And I didn't notice until after
That it was blanking it out.
it was blanking it out. It
But they
mutes it
didn't
out.
kick us out.
No,
They
but
just
of
muted
course
it.
we stopped after that.
Yeah.
As soon as we saw that,
We realized it was happening.
yeah. So now we use our own music.
Follow the rules. That's important.
Yeah.
That's one thing us old people know how to do. Because that's why we rule.
Yeah.
Because we know how to follow rules. Because we've learned that the rules aren't there just to mess with us.
Okay,
Or
and
oppress us.
I think we need to explain to people why the title of the show is such.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my son, and he had said, "I'm not worried about it. I'm young. I'm not worried about getting sick and dying from it." And I said, "Son, it's not you I'm worried about.
Yeah.
It's the people that you can infect."
Yeah.
So
I agree.
hopefully Facebook doesn't take offense to our title today.
Why? Why would they?
I don't know. Some people be like, but that offends me.
I'm sure they have old people. I mean, they've got to have some old people there that they think rock and rule.
Yeah. Well, and you had a girl at your work,
Yeah.
said this is an old person disease.
I don't have to worry about it. I'm healthy. I'm young.
Right.
I said, yeah, well, we just
Morning,
built
Marcia.
America and all the stuff you use. You're welcome.
And then you and I got to talking about,
And then I started teasing her about how I could teach her how to use a shovel so she could dig the ditch that they're going to bury us all in, all us old people.
yeah. And that is that's a serious. Uh-oh.
But then good luck having your parties and your ball games and stuff when all the buildings are falling on your head because you don't know how to build one.
Yeah. And plumbing, and I was like,
And
every time
plumbing.
you flush your toilet, you're,
Poop cubes in the winter.
instead of ice
Because
cubes.
they don't drain. They just freeze and back up into the building.
It rolls downhill. It goes downhill for those of you who don't know that. And I
Not
was taught.
understanding the stack effect and just burning everything in sight to heat the place, and really all you're doing is making it colder. You're increasing the airspeed coming in of minus 40 degree air coming in just faster and faster and faster because you need more heat.
Yeah, and then
Not understanding how that works.
right.
Good luck. Have fun.
Well, hey, our
fun with us
elderly
old
have
people.
so much wisdom to impart on us.
Well, because we've learned, because we had the 40-mile-an-hour winds coming in cracks that big that would freeze anything on contact, because we were trying to pour more heat into something that was cold.
Yeah.
Because we were cold. We didn't understand. We had to learn those things.
Yeah.
And that's knowledge that's earned through pain and sacrifice. And without the old people that we have now, and we've neglected to learn from them and hear their stories for a long, long time,
Yeah.
this can bring that awareness,
Marcia says, pray for Tyler. He was on Crime Stoppers this morning.
Oh.
He is in denial. We need to talk about denial, which is kind of what we're talking about.
Sort of, yeah.
Because people are in denial saying, oh, I'm young, I'm not going to worry about it. But then having that mindset will make you act irresponsibly and infect others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a good way to be.
And everything they use is all supplied them and built by people who took a long time to learn a lot, and to impart that wisdom and hand down that wisdom and knowledge. And without us, they'll have trouble. They will have real trouble.
Yeah.
Because the buildings will fall on their head. Because the reason why we know how to build buildings is because buildings fell.
Yeah. On people's heads.
On people's heads. And it's happened many times throughout history.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was spacing out there for just a second.
But think about it too. Is we love you. The reason us old people, or I'm middle aged. I'm not an old person, but the reason why old people,
that depends on who you ask.
Have the reason why old people worked so hard to build things so well for us is because they love us.
Yeah.
So it's not just that we're gonna lose a lot of wisdom, but we'll lose a lot of love. Love that is learned how to be expressed through action, through hard work, through care, through being careful to do things in a way that is safe for everyone.
Yeah.
Seatbelts. When I was young, there were no such thing. Or there wasn't many.
They didn't come standard in vehicles.
No,
you actually
and you
had
didn't
to have them installed.
Well, I'm 50, so they were there. But there were also many cars still on the road that didn't have them.
Right.
And those things were handed down, and those things were invented and brought to us by somebody with experience saying, you know what, we can do something about this to keep our children safe. Let's do it.
Right. Well, I remember standing up in the middle, in between my parents, standing up on the seat in between my parents.
Yeah.
And we got into a fender bender, and my nose hit the dashboard.
Eating dashboard, that's a term.
Yeah.
We don't have to. That's an old term that is gone now.
No, now it's eating airbag.
Yeah, now it's eating airbag. Yeah.
Which I've.
But listen, we love the young generation. We criticize them a lot, but you know what? We were criticized as a young generation ourselves, and it was through that criticism that hopefully is done out of love and with good humor to bring attention to some lack of awareness, some ignorance. Ignorance being a word.
We're going to try and work it out. I don't know what their internet's like up there, Jim.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Insight, foresight, all of those things come from experience.
Yep.
It's older people. The president shutting down air traffic from China, and then shutting down air traffic around, from everywhere else in the world. That all came from experience about, experience in actually taking action and doing something now, and what it takes to set that in motion, and what kind of backlash there's going to be. There were people, I'm sure, who said, look, we're not shutting down the airline. And the president said, look, you can either do it voluntarily, or I will enact my presidential powers and make it a national emergency, and I will take that power from you as the president of your company, and I will implement my own power over it. And so they do it voluntarily. But those are things that it takes experience in negotiating to be able to do that. Now, see,
right.
I'm not very good at that myself. I don't understand it, and I don't understand it until after I've been had.
Yeah, that's
and it's too late.
That's when it goes from knowledge to wisdom.
Yes.
Morning, Linda Fleetwood, Jeremiah Umans. Welcome to the party. Steve Schultz says the old ways of doing things are dying. So how is the wood carving going? Do you know enough to be able to sustain you while this is going on? Because they've added another 30 days to slow the spread.
Yep.
You know what?
Which you cleaned up my paper that I could read.
Yeah.
Because it looked like
it was a tube. You rolled it.
Tube. I rolled it up into a tube.
But you can find those. Go to cdc.gov, and they're all
30
right there.
days to slow the spread. I wonder if they've added any steps or precautions.
You know, I can look right now.
Yeah, we all read that.
So let's see what it said. And President Trump sent out those cards to everybody. Let's see, 30 days.
But the young people need to realize that they don't want to learn these things the same way the older people had to learn them. They want to be able to learn new things through trial and error and through hardship and and let the older people pass down the wisdom that they obtained the same way so that we can advance and not take steps back. You know, value the advice and the wisdom and the caring and the criticism of old people so that you don't have to learn those same lessons yourself the same way that they had to learn them. You can take their advice, commit it to your knowledge, having had it learned by somebody else, and then learn something new yourself, invent something, bring about something new. You know, advance our culture, advance our humanity.
So let me see.
Because old people rule.
Old people rule. You know,
they rule for a reason.
There's a reason why. Okay, the scripture tells us
to honor your mother and father. It's the first commandment with a promise.
Yep. And it says that you will have longer life. You know why? Because your parents have lived through a bunch of stuff that could kill you and can help you through it.
And can help you avoid it.
Yeah. So, let me see if there's a... I'm looking to see if there's there is a little deal here. Let me see if I can zoom it in here. Listen and follow directions you state. 30 days to slow the spread. If you feel sick, stay home. Do not go to work. Contact your medical provider. If your children are sick, keep them at home. Do not send them to school. Contact your medical provider. If someone in your household has tested positive for coronavirus, keep the entire household at home. Do not go to work. Do not go to school. Contact your medical provider. If you are an older person, stay home and away from other people. So, sorry, that kind of made me giggle a little bit. If you are a person with a serious underlying health condition that can put you at increased risk, for example, a condition that impairs your lungs or heart function or weakens your immune system, stay home and away from other people. So there's that. I don't think there's any change in that language.
Steve says, I love sitting with my granddad talking about old things he did. Yes, Linda, 30 more days. They announced it yesterday.
Yep, April 30th.
Yep. And look, you know, in China, in order to do it, they forcefully shut everything down.
Yeah.
And they had drones flying around the streets telling people they had to go into their homes. You know, and then they had also the their version of the National Guard. The military came into the cities and forced people to stay in their homes.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it didn't take a lot because they knew that the Chinese government, being communist and having ultimate power over people, and people's rights are not considered the same way they are here. They could just take them off to prison without even a trial.
Yeah.
You know,
no due process. I'm gonna go get some water. Go ahead. I've got my cup over there.
Yeah. So that's what they did. So now we, as free people, have to follow these rules voluntarily, or else it will not be effective. And what they're finding is that America is voluntarily following these rules. They're doing these things, and they're hoping that we don't have to close down. Look, take the time to wash your hands properly. You know, whenever possible, if it's not an automatic sink, you know,
Yeah.
whenever possible, if there's available paper towels, wipe your hands and then shut the faucet off without touching a faucet handle that everybody else has touched. You know, there's all kinds of procedures, and we want to do it well,
Yeah.
because the better we do it, the better everybody does it, the sooner this thing will be taken care of. And that doesn't mean that it will be eliminated or eradicated. Until there's a vaccine, it's going to continue.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing, is they're saying to slow the spread because they don't want us to overwhelm the hospitals. If the hospitals can't treat the people who are sick because they don't have a place to put them, they don't have the machinery to sustain them, they don't have the staff to care for them properly, they don't have the staff to clean the places that
Right.
the infected people have been by procedurally correctly. They don't have the trained staff to do it correctly. You know, and we don't want to overwhelm the system. Does that mean that everybody's not going to get sick? No, it doesn't. It means that you may not get sick for another 18 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is something they don't have a way to really stop it.
We don't know what's going on.
We can slow the spread of it so that we don't overwhelm our medical system.
Yep. And if it when it slows down enough to where people can continue to prepare for the next go round of it.
Or of a different sort. Suppose it's not the corona type strain, but it's a flu type that's even worse and more contagious.
Well, flu is a form of coronavirus.
No.
It's not? As they say, the
common
cold is.
cold is.
Yeah, even though I was always told that was called the rhinovirus.
They're viruses, but they're different types of viruses.
Yeah.
They're genetic.
They suck.
They're what is that called? Not their genetic. What is that?
Steve
Their DNA is different.
Steve Schultz wants to know, are they making you wear masks at work?
No, not yet. We're following the rules as they're written because we don't want to take the masks away from the medical field.
Morning, Priscilla Kemp.
I've seen a few people with masks, and I think
Yeah.
people are stopping to do that because it's important that our medical community has the protection that they need. We don't want all of the people that are going to treat us and help us when we do get sick to be sick themselves. You know, a
Right.
nurse or a doctor on an incubator or on a respirator in the bed next to us is not going to be able to help us.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure they have the equipment they need.
And I've been doing a lot of reading on it, and it says a lot of people don't have really hardly any what do you call it, symptoms.
Yeah.
And don't go. They recommend that if you don't have life-threatening symptoms, like if you can't breathe, if you've got a very bad pain, like in your lungs, and you can't breathe and all that stuff, and if you're spiking a fever, if you're not spiking a fever, they recommend you to stay home. The way they've been saying that you take care of it, it's just like the flu or a cold, because you just have to let the virus run its course.
Let your immune system
Let your immune system build immune to it. Because if you go and you're not in a life-threatening position and you take up a bed, there's somebody there, somebody might be there that needs it more than you do,
Yeah.
that needs to be on a respirator.
Yeah, see, like H1N1, it came out in the early 19th century or the late 18th century. And that killed more people than than World War I, World War II, and Vietnam combined.
H1N1?
Yeah. And
I
then
thought that came out during Obama's
that
presidency.
came out again. So what happened
just like
was...
the measles did.
Right. So back in the early century, when that came out and killed so many people, what happened was it went into pigs. See, pigs are human in their ability to transmit virus. So what happened was so many people got sick with it, we built an immunity, but then it went to pigs. Well, in pigs, it changed its genetic code enough that it could be contagious again to humans. So
Yeah.
then a human got it from a pig again, and it came back out. And that was H1N2, I think. So it may have been, no, that was H1N1
That was a swine
again.
flu. Swine flu.
Yeah, but it was H1N1 again. It just had mutated or something. And I'm not sure I understand these things exactly. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a, what do they call it, a disease. I'm just telling you what I heard. What I heard the experts saying, the presidential experts, the ones who are working for the president. So this thing came back out, and it can evolve, and not evolve, and I call it evolve, but it can mutate. It can go into another animal that can transmit diseases to humans, and there change and then become contagious again to humans.
Yeah.
So this stuff with our populations is going to reoccur. I mean, it's going to reoccur. Just as it has, it will.
Okay, Linda Fleetwood says, sorry. Thanks. It makes me angry because people aren't taking this serious. Some people are still going around doing their everyday old habits. I think we should have a complete shutdown, she says. Then she says, my question is, they say if you think you have this, call your doctor first. Don't go to the ER. Okay, so what if it's on a weekend and the doctor is not available? What about that?
They're making people available.
Yeah. Is that why you shouldn't eat bacon, Jay? Laugh out loud.
Well, I do.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
eat bacon
not sure
too.
why you shouldn't eat bacon. Maybe you should ask somebody who doesn't eat bacon.
Well, I guess you could eat turkey bacon.
Right?
Can they make beef bacon?
I don't think so.
It's all about
I think bacon is particular to that species of animal, that the pork, the pig.
But then they also make turkey bacon that tastes exactly like bacon.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know either. If you know, give us a call. That is a mystery.
Yeah, it is a mystery.
I prefer regular horribly fattening bacon.
I mean, I do eat bacon.
Because I like bacon sandwiches with mayonnaise, salt, and pepper.
Yep.
Just BLT, hold the L in the T.
Yeah.
Of course, the T is really good.
I say
it
take
too.
it serious, and we should correct people that we see who are dismissing this as something minor.
I do.
Because here's the thing. People who dismiss this as something minor, I'm sure, don't have the volume of contact with humans that somebody like a cashier would. And to not take it serious is to put them at risk because you're one of many people who don't take it serious. And when I serve 100 to 250 people a day, people who work full-time where I work serve more than that.
Medical staff.
I'm coming in close contact with more than 1,000 people a week, different people. And many of them multiple times. I touch everything they've touched that they brought to me on the counter. Unless they turn the barcodes to me, which many people are doing now, I have to touch all of their stuff and access the barcode to scan it. So that's all transfer. That's all cross-contaminating. So I have to wear gloves and I have to keep my hands clean, but still that increase the risk to me. And look, don't take this lightly. These people who are serving you
Are putting themselves at risk.
Are at higher risk because they see such a higher volume of people and their risk for cross-contamination because of the barcode things and having to handle everything everybody else has handled all the time. I mean, I handle thousands of items a week that everyone has touched. So don't take it serious, but then what are you going to do when the people who serve you at the places where you shop, at the doctor's offices where you go to get cared for.
That's why they're saying
when they're all sick because you just carelessly went around not taking it serious. When they get sick because of that, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and the thing is,
you're going to stand in a long line.
Yeah, you are. You're going to be out of breath.
Yep, because where there were 5 people serving the customers' volume, now there'll be 1 because the other 4 are sick.
Yeah, and and it's always going to be that way. There are going to always be essential jobs like truck driving and cashiering.
Do we want our truck drivers to get sick because
No.
a bunch of cashiers got sick because people were being careless?
Yeah, no.
That can happen. It is happening.
It is. If you look at everything like, oh, that's got a virus on it.
You should.
And treat it that way.
And treat it as though you can give it to somebody else. Don't worry about yourself. Don't worry, oh, do I have it or don't I have it? Worry about, can I give it to somebody?
Yeah.
Can I touch this, then touch this, then hand this to somebody, put this on a surface, and then everybody that comes in contact with that gets sick? Yay me, because I have a high immune system and I didn't suffer much from it. But who cares about all those other people?
Yeah.
Well, it's your fault and your responsibility for having spread it. Well, and I'm not saying to have guilt about it. I'm saying to have some common sense and be careful and follow these rules to as closely as you
the mail is
possibly
important
can.
too.
Yeah,
I
what
think-
about the mail?
I think they've been running those under UV lights that have proven to kill the coronavirus.
Kill viruses.
So, which is, if you have one of those, use it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use it on the paperwork up at work whenever I
Right.
go back. I'm on vacation right
Do you
now.
have
but
one?
They do up there somewhere. I can borrow it and be like, look, I think you got to hold it over it for so long
Yeah.
and have it kill the viruses. It'll make my job a little bit more
And follow the rules
time-consuming,
as
but-
closely and carefully as you can. Or take it lightly. And then when people around you start getting sick, what are you going to say? What are you going to say to them? When your father or your mother or your grandparent gets sick, what are you going to say to them? Oh, it's not serious.
Whenever I talk to Dad outside, like if he's out on the porch, and you guys are going to think I don't care if you think I'm crazy or not. We make note of the wind direction.
Yeah.
If the wind direction is blowing this way, I'll stand on this side.
You want to be downwind of him.
Yes. I want to be upwind
That's
from him. Where it's blowing away from him. Down. I don't want him to be downwind of me. So
Right.
I want to be downwind of him. You're right.
yeah.
You were right the first time. See, old people rule.
Old people rule. You're right.
What about the mail? Linda says, I agree, Jay. Those people are being selfish. Steve-O Mickey Mac, welcome.
It's
Sorry, I just got a little
it's
phlegm in
really
my throat
it's
here.
really negligence. I'm not saying that I perfectly keep all the rules. I have.
Pig all the way, Steve.
I
That's
mean,
right.
I'm like everybody else, a sinner saved by grace, and I think it is sinful to take risks with other people's health when you know better.
Yeah.
And there's also a point where we've got to function.
Yeah.
We've got to live and survive. So there is a level of risk we all have to take.
Yep.
But to do it as carefully as possible, following the rules as closely as we can minimize that. And it's not, like I said, it's not that we won't get it. It's that we can,
Process. You can give it to somebody else.
it's not that we won't get it. It's that we may prolong the exposure to it so that we don't get it right now when the hospital's full,
Right.
and then fill it more or not have a place at the hospital.
Gotta scratch
Anyway.
my nose.
I love you all, and I care about this. And as a cashier, I see a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of sick people too over these last few weeks.
Yeah, and then this came. There's no good time for this stuff to come out.
I've seen,
But this is a bad time of year because allergies,
we're
all that
nearing
stuff-
the end of flu season,
nearing the end of flu season and cold season,
right?
and now we're entering the allergy season,
Yep.
and there's spring fever. There's all that kind of
People
stuff.
are wanting to get out and enjoy the weather. Like yesterday was amazing.
Yeah,
But I'm proud of America. Yesterday at work was dead. I mean, it was just slow and steady. So people are staying home.
yeah,
And I'm so proud of America, and I'm so proud of my clients at work, because even though our business is slowing down because people are doing what they should, and I'm sure that's,
that also lessens the risk on you.
yeah, it does lessen the risk on me, and it lessens the risk on them. It's a shame, but I am proud of America for following the rules and doing the best they can and following it as closely as they can. And that's what I was going to say. Confront people you see who are being careful. You should say, when somebody's getting in somebody else's face, completely disregarding all of the rules that we see, we need to say, we
Back
need
off.
to interrupt and say, you need to leave, back up from that person, and some people know each other and are close, but some people don't, and some people are just being careless.
And if you see, and another thing is that I've seen, like even at work, I've had drivers say to me when I'm wearing rubber gloves, that's a little crazy, don't you think?
Mm.
Well, how's that crazy? Well, I said, well, let's look at it this way. I have foot and hand eczema,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I have to, after touching every single piece of paper, I have to sanitize my hands.
Is that contagious?
No, I'm just saying right now. And that stuff really dries it up and really makes it irritated.
Yeah.
So I'd rather sanitize the gloves
Right.
each time
Which I do.
rather than
Plus,
the
there's a
hands.
shortage. There could be a shortage, and we don't want that to happen for our healthcare community. We want them to have the supplies that they need to do their job well and to
Morning,
be
Becky.
protected from this.
Becky
you
Code.
know.
Yeah, I mean, it does dry your hands out quite a bit.
Yep.
And then,
does.
I mean, it's just one of those things.
So keep a little distance. Keep washing your hands. Keep frequently wash surfaces that might be able to that this virus may be able to live on a little bit longer than other surfaces. Just be careful and follow those rules.
Like when we're done here, I believe
if you're sick, stay home.
we're going to have Tony Hammock is going to be coming in.
Yeah.
But before I even let him come anywhere near his table there, I've got disinfecting wipes and spray it down, and then use the disinfecting wipes, wipe it down.
Yeah.
I wipe down this because this is where people touch. Spray these. We got some other ones over there that have been disinfected already. So we're
Act like you have it and you're contagious.
we're doing our part to slow the spread. So and it's just crazy. Like there was a kid at work said he had bronchitis. Said the doctor told him he had bronchitis, and he was vaping. Where, I mean,
Which bronchitis is
I
contagious.
walked through, and I could smell.
Cloud of the vape.
I could smell it, and I was like, dude, I said, stop vaping out here. Period. Go outside and vape where the wind can blow it away.
Yeah.
I said that holds on to it and makes it go even further. And, I'm having to deprogram him. And then I went, I admit I got
I
a
guess
little.
cigarette smoke could be the same way. We
I don't
ought
know.
to be away from doorways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, because we ought to be concerned and consider our fellow man.
Yeah. Well, I haven't had a cigarette since, what was it, 4 or 5 days ago?
What about the healthcare community, too? Our nurses and doctors and all of those people working in those hospitals, they're not getting any rest right now.
No. Because imagine the anxiety that they've got going on knowing they're exposed to it every single day.
And they can't just be
And
replaced.
it's not like they may be exposed to it. They are exposed to it.
Yeah, and they can't just be replaced. Nobody, you have to go to school to learn the proper procedures
calling
to
in,
do all the things that they do
They're calling in, like,
effectively.
from what I understand, they're calling in,
Military trained.
and also vets.
Yeah. The president was talking about his, he says, I've been watching the news lately, and he said, your military guests are the best guests that you guys have had. And maybe I'm just a little tired of your other guests. But he said, it's just like, and he named one of the generals, and he says, hey, General, I need a hospital here. And the general's like, yes, sir. And they hang up the phone. And then by 6 o'clock the next morning, there's a bunch of people out there building a hospital in that place that he said. The next
Right.
morning, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
The general's just like, okay, we'll get it done. Boom, boom. Hey, load these planes, load these trucks, get moving that direction. This is the location. And then, and then in the area, they're all getting there, preparing the place for it to be. And then at 6 o'clock the next morning, the trucks and the planes arrive. And the guys are already there who prepared the site, and they're all building a hospital the next day.
Now, so I did notice that one of the liberal media anchors that is very anti-Trump had said, well, the hospital ships that Trump made, and she did air quotes, that made a big deal about, they're not going to be anywhere to help anybody for weeks.
Right.
And then, like, the next day, they all showed up
Yeah.
at the shores.
Full steam ahead,
Yeah. And those are huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can you
that's a
imagine?
huge deal. And they're in California. And I think there was 3 of them. A couple of them were in California, and then one was in New York.
Well, they were under maintenance, so they were already unloaded, so they weren't supplied. So they were under maintenance, and they probably just put the supplies on trucks and brought the trucks to where the ships were supposed to be, and then brought the ships by sea with no payload so they could move faster, and boom.
Morning, Sissy Brooks.
And that's the thing. Isn't that a great thing? Look at our military, what they do. When you say, hey, I need a hospital built in this city, right now, as soon as you can get it done, and they say, yes, sir, hang up the phone, at 6 o'clock next morning, somebody's building a hospital where you said to build it. That is amazing.
Yeah.
It blows
There's a
me
lot
away.
of stuff that's going on now. Like a lot of red tape was cleared to be able to push testing for vaccines and stuff like that, where it would have taken at least a year and a half, 2 years to be able to get it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got rid of
some of that stuff could be bad, but in the face of what we're going through, which is worse? I mean, you've got to choose the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
When you're trying to do something right now.
Pick your battles.
Yep.
So, my throat's.
But I love
today.
the Lord more than anything, and if
get into the scripture, it helps.
Pray for the people who are getting
helps
sick.
A lot.
Pray for those that we're losing and their families who remain here on this earth. I'm not afraid because I know where I'm going, and I love the Lord, and I can't wait to be with my Lord. But that doesn't mean that I can only pray that if I die in a way that is suffering, like these people who are getting sick and in the hospital on ventilators are suffering, and the families of them. I mean, I don't know how I'll stand up in the face of something like that. But I can only hope, and I hope for you that we can all do this with dignity and honor.
Yeah.
And bring glory to God through it.
Yeah.
Verbally give him the glory.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
for life and death.
God is good. Mm-hmm. All the time. Sickness and in health.
Yeah. Rich or poor.
Till death do we reunite.
Yeah. True there.
So.
I like it.
Yeah.
Makes it a good song.
Sorry about those aren't coughs. Those are just clearing my throat. I've got a dry little
Isn't that funny
throat.
how now all that becomes a little suspicious?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also, there's a lot of pollen in the air.
Yeah.
So.
Bad time to diagnose a respiratory illness.
No kidding. No kidding. If somebody did in fact plant this virus for this, that's strategically.
Hate to think that they could actually make something like this, and that they would and then release it. That's an awful, awful thing.
Morning, Steve-O, Mickey Mac. We told you that. I think I told you that earlier, but it's good to see you.
And if they can do that, imagine how many others they have just waiting.
See, and that's the kind of stuff I told you. That's stuff I can't think about that stuff.
No.
Because I battle anxiety anyways. Like I fought a panic attack on the way in this morning, and it's sometimes nothing needs to happen to cause it. Sometimes it just hits.
Even when everything's fine.
I don't take any medication for it anymore. I probably should, talk to the doctor about that. But, what can you do? And it's at this point in time, any tickle of the throat, anything's got people freaking out and panicking. Have I got that? If I got this.
Don't panic. Panicking and freaking out never made anything better.
No, because then your heart starts to beat really fast, and that alone makes you short of breath.
Then you're getting checked out by a doctor when you don't need to, and you're overwhelming the system. Be aware. Go on. Take the test if you're really concerned. See what that says.
And they'll be...
and then follow the results that you get and the instructions that you get as closely as you possibly can. Better even. Because they went to much further extremes in the Bible when there were contagious diseases.
Oh yeah,
much further extremes
than
what
out.
We are. Yeah, they put them out of the city.
They put them out of the city.
But I'm sure put them out means the same as, the companies that are stepping up and making ventilators and all that. Hey, you can do it voluntarily, or it can be done to you against your will. Choose between those two, right?
Yeah. Sissy says, God says, do not fear. Steve McAllister, Steve-O Mickey Mac says, pray for one of my friends, Cheryl Williams. She's recovering from surgery, and she usually is on his watch party, and she loves the show. Linda said, this ain't no April Fool's joke.
Nope.
I kidded around about that. I said, if they come up and say, hey, April Fool's, they wouldn't, obviously, because we're seeing people.
Well, some may say it.
So yeah, God says do not fear.
I have to confess that I've been losing my patience lately. Really. And acting inappropriately for the profession of faith that I have, and being a bad testimony. It's not that necessarily that I've sinned. It's that maybe I'm just not sure of what alternative I have to take action against certain things, and I'm sure that I've made mistakes in the process, and I'm sure that I've done some things right in the process, but there's still a feeling of anxiety, not of fear, but of unknowing, not knowing what the right steps to take are, and how in the end that may still say, look, I love you. But I think that we should not allow people to look down on us as Christians, or to mock or ridicule us as Christians. We should be standing up for our faith and be proud, and not be proud, but be firm in our faith, and not let people look down on us. And I think that when people start to do that and come against us, we do need to take a stand somehow.
Right.
And sometimes taking that stand can cause the reaction to not be positive. And sometimes the people that are affected by it, and the places that you have to start taking a stand, like you said before, if 20 people in a day come up and step on your foot, that 20th person's going to get it pretty hard. When you do finally say, stop stepping on my foot, number 20 is the one who's going to get it.
Right. Right.
And they're not any more guilty than number 1, the first person to do it.
Yeah.
Well, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. And I don't want to, and I think that's inappropriate to express it that way and to unload on the last person, but rather to start taking a stand in a gentle and loving way. And sometimes it's hard to do and you're not sure how.
Yeah.
And then you just react because you're overwhelmed.
Linda Fleetwood says, hang in there, Jay. I love you too. Thank you guys for your daily morning drive. You are appreciated. Thank you very much, Linda. We appreciate you as well.
Yes, very much. Thank you.
If you like the videos that you see and the shows that you're watching, there's a way that you can partner with us and help us out by going on to axmediagroup.com and scroll down. You can see all of our all of last week's videos and the week before are posted up there. Also, you can see the Real News Review is on there, and there's numerous articles from different contributors that are really informative and uplifting. And then you can look to your right, you'll see the donate button. They take credit card, debit card, or PayPal. And you can use that to become a monthly partner, or you can do a one-time donation. Whatever you choose to do, whatever the Lord leads your heart to do. We are a worldwide ministry, and we are reaching people from here to Pakistan. And hey, Tony Hammock is here. Go online to axmediagroup.com, check it out, and while you're at it, decide to become a partner with us. So there's that. Yes. So we're about out of time here in a couple minutes. I'm probably going to call it a little bit early so I have more time to sanitize the workstation there. So,
all right.
Because we don't want to,
okay.
So we're going to go ahead and call it a day for the morning drive. Be sure and tune in next for the New Gold Standard with Tony Hammock. And,
And he is here in the studio now, so don't miss it. Tune in. It's a great show, and be prepared.
All right. Well, until tomorrow, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
And this has been
The Morning Drive.